Hey guys, I'm Dan, and today we get to talk about backpacking food. I'm going to tell you about a simple method that I use to minimize the food prep time getting ready for the next trip. And hopefully this will be something that you can make use of to simplify your process too. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and that way you don't miss out on future episodes. And hey, thanks for watching. This is the whole spread all laid out. This is everything that I would take on a 6-day backpacking trip. And I'll talk more specifically about everything that you see. But I thought you'd want to see the whole bit all laid out. So I hope you don't mind that I'm filming in my shop today. It's really blustery outside and I didn't think this would work too good with the food blowing around. There's been a lot of great videos made about backpacking food and how to prepare for that. And I especially like the videos that Dixie at Homemade Wanderlust made. Of course, she always is really thorough and does a great job with her videos. And I also want to reference a little older video by Dave Collins at Clever Hiker, and I'll make some links for you to reference those. Those are both really good broad overviews about how to think about backpacking food, but I wanted to go a little different direction today with this video and just get really specific about the food that I use when I go backpacking, because I have really kind of a food list just like a gear list, and that really simplifies the whole process for me. And I thought if I shared that with you, then you would be able to tailor it to your individual tastes and really simplify the process of food prep before a trip. When I'm getting ready for a trip, in my mind there's 3 major tasks that are involved in preparation. The first is to print out quad maps. That takes a lot of time because I go into CalTopo, zoom in on the area, and because I have a slow computer, that takes a little while to print out all of the quad maps that I need. The second task is food prep that we're going to be talking about today, and the third is just the actual packing of the pack, and I like to do that the night before the trip so that the down gear isn't compressed longer than it needs to be. But the food prep and the map printing can both be done ahead of time, so that's why I wanted to talk about this today, so that you could plan out like the weekend before, spend some time doing the food prep and printing maps, and then you don't have to have a mad scramble the night before the trip. Now, the other thing that I need to explain about the way that my food works is just that more generally I hike by the clock. Now, this is a tip that I picked up from Ray Jardine from his Beyond Backpacking book many years ago, and the idea is basically that I hike for an hour and then I take a 10-minute break. And I'm not a slave to that, but generally I try to have these little breaks consistently throughout the day. And what that does for me is it helps me to continue hiking for a long period of time. My rule of thumb is I'm going to cover 2 miles an hour. My actual hiking pace is quicker than that. It's usually around 2.7 according to my GPS. But if I plan for 2 miles an hour, over the course of an entire day, if I start hiking by 8 o'clock in the morning and typically hike till about 7:30 or 8 at night, I still can easily get in 18 to 20 miles in that time and even have a few longer breaks too. Why that's important in terms of food is that I don't really think in terms of big meals like breakfast and lunch. Instead, I am kind of nibbling all day long. I like to have the thought of eat constantly when you're hiking. And so that's the way that I do the list for my food. What I really wanted to show you was the layout for one day, because really it doesn't matter if it's a 3 or 5 or even 7-day hike. I pretty much repeat the same thing every time. And so first off, I calculate if like this is a 6-day trip that I'm planning, that means that during the first half of a day I'll probably be driving to the trailhead, and I probably will be finishing by around noon on the last day and driving home, which means it's actually 5 full days of food in terms of calculating how much I need. So I mentioned not really focusing too much on breakfast, but once in a while I do like to have a hot breakfast, and so I'll just make oatmeal. This is instant oatmeal with a handful of raisins thrown in, or this is a berry blend from Trader Joe's that I especially like. And so I'll do that once in a while. Typically, though, not first thing in the morning, because I like to just get up and pack up and get going on the trail when things are still kind of chilly, and then I can warm up a bit, and I might stop around 10 o'clock or so, and then either have that, or what I've been doing a lot more is just doing some type of a oatmeal meal bar. Something like, I know it's probably terrible, but the Kids Cliff is available at Costco, so that's really handy for me. And I've been experimenting with some little different stuff like this Kind breakfast bar. But the brand isn't really important. The idea is just that some type of solid food to get me going in the morning. And I'll supplement that with a little bit of chocolate-covered espresso beans. And typically, I can show you, I've got a bag about this big of chocolate-covered espresso beans that will last for easily for 5 days, hopefully if they don't get melted as they did in the last trip. Also, I have to have my coffee, but I have found this Mount Hagen instant coffee that works pretty well for me, and I'll just throw that in the Gatorade bottle. And usually 2 of these will be just right for a full Gatorade bottle, and I like it sweet, so I have these raw sugar cubes, and I'll throw in 2 of those and 2 packets of this and shake it up good, and then I just pretend that's iced coffee, and I can drink some of that while I'm downing one of these. Now, the standard thing for the day, though, is very simple. It's just 2 pieces of some dried fruit. It doesn't have to be this. This is, I happen to like this a lot from Pure Organic, is really good. But there's a lot of types of dried fruit out there. So I do 2 of those, 2 meal bars. And I like these snack bags a lot, so I'll separate this out by each day, just in terms of organization. So I have a bag of peanuts and a bag of raisins, and then a bag of jerky. And I actually measure these out. So this is half a cup, of peanuts and a half a cup of raisins. And then the jerky is usually about 3 or 4 ounces, just whatever fits fairly loosely in that snack bag. Then I have plain and peanut M&Ms, and these are both about what I would take on a 6-day trip. So I only have a little bit of those throughout the day, and that's plenty for a longer trip. The crackers are about the last thing of the day that I eat, and that's just to get a little extra oil for keeping warm at night. Also, I do take these honey stingers. I happen to like that for a little extra energy. I find that they are a little tough to go down if I'm not tired, but if I'm kind of bonking in the middle of the afternoon, I need a little extra energy. Those are a great way to get a boost to keep me going. And I like to throw in a little bit of some kind of powder mix like those after a few days. Mostly I just drink water, but sometimes I like to get a little bit of flavor in there for some variety. So that's pretty much it during the day, and you can just repeat this over and over for as many days as you're out there. I used to pack Gorp, which was of course this stuff mixed together, and for some reason that really became repulsive to me after a while. I got really sick of it, and I learned that if I separated the pieces of the Gorp out, I found it a lot more appetizing. And what I try to do is just pay attention to my own gut instinct when I stop, just what seems appetizing or appealing to me in that moment, and just go for that. And so I'll just nibble through all of these throughout the day. I try to think about the fact that I have 2 of the meal bars, and those are a little more substantial, so mid-morning and mid-afternoon is when I'll use those. And if anything was close to lunch, it would be the jerky. So try to think of that probably in the middle of the day too, and then the meal bar would be more late afternoon. The only real variability in my meal plan comes with dinner. So I like to eat cold the first night out, and typically I'll do something like a wrap and cheese and maybe some summer sausage or something like that. Or I also like to go with a bagel. This one isn't made up yet, but I will put on it honey and peanut butter and bacon bits. You can get shelf-stable bacon bits from Costco that work really well. Although this time I'm going to try a little experiment, and instead of bacon bits I'm going to try Canadian bacon, so I'll have to let you know how that works out. So that's first night, and that usually is the heaviest thing. Otherwise, I like to go with these. These are just plain meals that we would make at home. This is some chili. This is a pasta dish that my wife makes called pasta fazool. I don't know how to spell that, but she does. And I've just thrown those on the dehydrator, and it works really well. I kind of have to guess about how much water to add. Usually it's only about a half a cup to a cup of water, and let that rehydrate, and it works just like any meal like one of these, but of course is a lot cheaper and better too. This is a meal recipe that I found online. I'll have to make a link for this for you. It's just a way to fix up ramen with again bacon bits and Parmesan cheese, and you throw a little oil in at the end, and I managed to find these little olive oil packets. If you ever see those at a deli, you might grab them because they're very useful for something like this. And then of course there's always the tried and true Mountain House and Backpacker Pantry type freeze-dried meals. I try to stay away from those because they're really not that tasty and expensive. And when I can do this and it's better and cheaper, I prefer that. However, I do want to mention I really like the Packet Gourmet meals. Those are definitely worth checking that out. So that's dinner. And you've already probably figured out that I do freezer bag cooking for dinner and with oatmeal for breakfast when I do that. And I did want to mention that I use this Reflectix Cozy. This is made by a company called Simple Outdoor Solutions. I've had this for 5 years, put it to a lot of use, and it's still like brand new. So that's definitely one piece of gear that's worth buying. And you just have the freezer bag in there and put it in the hot water, and you can flip that around and close it up like that, so that keeps it warm while it's rehydrating. And just one other detail of organization I wanted to explain is that I keep all of the food for a long trip in a bag like this. This is a DCF food bag from Z-Packs. I believe it's 14 liters, and it has an actual dry bag type closure with Velcro. I just roll that up and hook the buckle like that, which works great for the bare hang of food because you can just hook the rope right on that, and it's waterproof, so you don't have to worry if it rains during the night. This has kept my food dry the whole time and critter free, and I can get 6-7 days of food in this no problem. One other thing I do like to do is, this is a smaller DCF bag, and I put whatever food I'm going to use that day in this bag and carry that rolled up in the outer pocket on the net pocket on the pack. That way it's just quickly accessible all day long, and then I don't have to get into the pack for any food until the end of the day when it's dinner time. Okay, that's it for today. If you have questions, which you probably do because I'm sure I've missed something, please leave those in the comments and I'll be happy to respond to them. And if you have any special recipes that you like to use for the freezer bag meals for dinner, please leave those in the comments or a link to them, and we'll all benefit from that because you can't have too many recipes for freezer bag cooking. All right, well, if you found this helpful, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe because we've got a lot of great videos lined up coming soon. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Take care.